Yo, why they keep doing my man Badou Jack like that, man? Why this man can't get a fair shake, you know what I mean? Man, Badou Jack won that fight. I don't care what nobody say, man. Let's get into it, man. You know, the first round was a good round for the man Badou Jack. Jean Pascal, man, I'm trying to tell you, dogs, this guy ain't win that fight. I don't think he won it. You know what I'm saying? The first round, Pascal was with his ambush style, and he was throwing nice body shots, you know what I mean? Jack the Ripper's known for the body shots, but round one, I gave it to Pascal with the body shots. But the man, Badou Jack, did land a beautiful flush right hand that wobbled the man, Pascal. But still, Pascal round. Round two, Pascal body shots, you know what I mean? And the volume punching. And he rocked the man, Badou Jack, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That was and he kind of was counter punching. He caught the man Badou Jack while he was throwing a punch, and he rocked him. Round three was a close round. You know what I'm saying? I gave to Badou Jack. Badou Jack wobbles Jean Pascal. He caught him with two flush right hands. You know what I mean? Round four, Jack was beating the man Pascal up. He caught him with some uppercuts. You know what I mean? And he had a right hand that kind of wobbled Pascal, and then he caught. But then that before the round ended, them fellas, Jean Pascal caught the man Badou Jack with an overhand right. You know what I'm saying? Threw a jab to the stomach and threw an overhand right that caught the man Badou Jack right on the temple and drops him. He goes down. So that's a 10-8 round for Badou Jack. Round five, Badou Jack, he's landing his flush right hands. You know what I mean? Pascal's going to the body. It's a big back and forth affair. But the man Pascal looks like he's starting to slow down and he's back to his tactics of trying to steal rounds. You know what I mean? You check it. So round six, the man Badou Jack, he's using his jab, doubling up his jab, throwing body shots. Jean Pascal's throwing power left hooks, you know what I mean? Some of them getting blocked, a few of them getting in, some partially. You know what I'm saying? Badou Jack's landing straight right hands and off the double jab, you know what I mean? Round seven, Badou Jack is boxing behind the jab, landing 1-2s with Pascal walking into shots, ambush style with his head, with his herky jerky awkward style, you know what I mean? In the last 15 seconds, Pascal threw a double uppercut and body shots, trying to steal rounds like he tried to do in the fight versus with the Lydia Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? Round eight, Jack hurt the man Pascal. You know what I'm saying? And he caught him with a couple right hooks. So it was a back and forth affair. In the first half of the fight, it was all Pascal, but looked like Badou Jack is running away with the fight. You know what I mean? You check it. Round 10 was a close round, though. Pascal was landing the heavier shot. The round could have gone either way. You know what I'm saying? That definitely was a swing round, just like one of the earlier rounds that I had. I believe round three. You know what I mean? Pascal be trying to steal rounds. So sometimes it's the way he fights is difficult to call. But if you know his style, he don't let that man fool you. He gets active with the last 15 seconds left. You know, round 11, I gave it to Badou Jack again. You know what I mean? Yeah. But round 10, excuse me, round 12, that fella's Badou Jack was giving Pascal a beating, a thorough beating. You know what I'm saying? Rocking him from pillar to post. He even dropped him, hit him with three consecutive right hands over the top. Pascal trying to bend down, trying to like bend at his waist, but he got caught with the right hands, and then he got caught trying to run away with another right hand. Damn near put him through the ropes. But if you should have seen how quick Pascal got up. Pascal was up. Believe you me, watch the fight again. When he got dropped in the 12th round, he was up before 1 second was even up. You know what I mean? He got up so quick. The ropes kind of catapulted him. He damn near got put through the ropes, but the ropes kind of catapulted him and he got up real quick. So that's a 10-8 round, you know what I mean? So these judges out here call it a split decision. All three judges had it 114, 112. Two of them had it 114, 112 for the man Pascal. One judge had it 114, 112 for Badou Jack. I didn't see that at all. I had this fight 115, 111 for the man Badou Jack. You know what I'm saying? I thought he won this fight. There was two 10-8 rounds. You know what I mean? Two 10-8 round, one 10-8 round for each fighter. You know what I'm saying? But so otherwise it would have been 116, 112, you know. But Badou Jack won this fight, man. And I like Pascal. I had no dog in this fight. I didn't care who won. I didn't even make a prediction for this fight because I knew Badou Jack would win. I just thought Badou Jack was going to win the fight. I didn't need to make a prediction. And really and truly, he won the fight on my scorecard. You know what I mean? Jean Pascal, man, man, look at the punch stats. Man, the man Badou Jack outlanded Jean Pascal total by 90 punches. You know what I mean? Man outlanded him by 90 total punches. Mike 104 is in the chat. He says, I only saw the 12th round of this fight. It looked like they went to war. No, I'm not going to necessarily say they went to war. No, not really. It was a tactical fight, you know what I'm saying? Um, Jean Pascal gassed out as usual. You know what I'm saying? He threw out his load in the first four rounds. You know what I mean? Was very active. You know what I mean? Had a high punch volume, but really and truly, it was a tactical fight. You know what I'm saying? Body shots. You know what I mean? Pascal throwing leaping left hooks. And Badou Jack catching him with flush right hands and the body shots and the 1-2s. But the 12th round was a thorough beating. And that's not what determines to me on my card who won the fight, not just the 12th round. No, I accumulated my scorecard, you know what I mean? I can give you which rounds I gave to Badou Jack because this is a controversial fight. I gave Badou Jack's round 3. Um, round 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now, there was a close round, a swing round. If I gave one of those swing rounds to Badou Jack on my scorecard, it would be 114, 112, like the judges saw it, you know what I mean? But Badou Jack did not lose this fight, not one bit, not at all. Finks Out of Boxing says, great fight. If I had to choose the swing rounds, it all came out a draw on my scorecard. I ain't mad at that. But really and truly, I saw Badou Jack landing more punches, and I seen Jean Pascal not active in a lot of rounds and trying to steal rounds. And I know that's what he does, so I'm not gonna be fooled by that. That's what he do. Finks Out of Boxing says, Jack is plagued as a slow starter, no question. He even got dropped in round 4. You know what I mean? Todd French 600, what's up, man? He's in the chat. He says Jack has to start faster. He does, man. But I gave him round 3. I gave him round 3, but he got dropped in round 4. You know what I'm saying? Now, Fix Out of Boxing, if I gave all the swing rounds, I gave one of the swing rounds. I had 2 swing rounds on my card. I gave one of them to Pascal and one to Badou Jack. You know what I'm saying? I ain't see Pascal winning this fight, and I like Pascal, man, and I'm happy he's still around. You know what I mean? He's still around. He's still a player in the game. You know what I'm saying? Look, this guy's fought everybody. Bivol, Chad Dawson, Kovalev twice, B-Hop twice, Elidia Alvarez, Lucian Bute. Who else he fought? Carl Froch. He's fought a lot of people, and so has the man Badou Jack, George Groves, James DeGale, James the Durrell, the dog Durrell, Adonis Stevenson, Nathan Cleverly, all former world champions. You know what I mean? Man, they need to do a rematch in Canada. Do a rematch in Canada. I miss big fights in Canada since Adonis Stevenson ain't around no more. I do miss big fights. Lucian Bute used to have big fights in Canada. They're a live crowd up there in Montreal. Take a fight back to Canada, because Canada right now, they ain't got no major players no more. Better Beef. Better Beef versus Pascal. Yeah, Better Beef versus Pascal. You're holding a fake belt, Jean Pascal. The real WBA belt is held by, Bivol. Matter of fact, Pascal has fought Bivol. Pascal lost to Bivol. So go ahead and get you one of them WBCs and WBC and IBF and lineal titles that Better Beef holds. Do that fight up there in Canada. Make a lot of money up there. You know what I mean? I'd love to see that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where we at in the chat? Mr. Doc's in the chat. What's up, Mr. Doc? Mr. Doc says to Finks Art of Boxing, I need to watch the fight close, but slow starts have been a problem for Jack. I also worry all those tough fights in a row might be catching up with Jack. But Jack won the fight, Mr. Doc. He won this fight clearly. At least to me, he won this fight clearly. You know what I'm saying? 6 rounds to, I'm sorry, 8 rounds to 4. At worst, 7 rounds to 5. Mr. Doc says, I feel guilty for not catching all of this one. SMH sounds like it should have been the main event. I said it was the main event before the fight started. Going into this fight all week, I was saying, man, this is the real main event. Badou Jack versus Pascal is more main event than Gamboa and Tank. And it's only because Tank got the name and stuff. But I'm just talking about as far as competitive edge, you know what I mean? Okay, Todd French 600 says, yep, he didn't start cooking till the third. True indeed. Finks Auto Boxing says round 5 was the trickiest round, and the judges scored it for Pascal. Let me look at my scorecard, what I had. I actually had that for Jack, because I had Jack winning from round 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All of those were on my card, Badou Jack rounds. Where we at? Finks Auto Boxer says Dr. Adonis though. LOL. Yep. I was listening to your video today too, man. You was talking about Adonis Stevenson, Finks. True indeed, man. Adonis was definitely an exciting fighter. And Jean Pascal ducked him, you know what I mean? He wasn't he was a mandatory. And that's you know what I'm saying? He was a mandatory for the WBC title. And he didn't want to take the mandatory fee. You know what I'm saying? I think it was just like a 70-30 split. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't trying to take that. And he wanted more money. He felt like, look, I'm a former champion. I'm from Canada. I had that WBC light heavyweight title. So he was trying to play those kind of leverage tactics. But he'd taken some losses in the meantime, in between time. He'd lost his title. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he beat Chad Dawson, but it was because of cuts. You know what I mean? That's why the fight got stopped. And then Jean Pascal went to fight the man Kovalev for less money. You know what I mean? In Canada, he fought him for less money. Didn't make no sense. You know what I mean? And that's how the man Kovalev was walking around with that fake green belt, and he was now Adonis Stevenson's mandatory. And he wasn't even trying to go to purse bids. They forced it to, no, actually, they requested a purse bid and stuff. It went to purse bids and they ducked up out of it with Kathy Duva. It's a damn shame that Kathy Duva did that to, because Main Events, which Kathy Duva runs, is a legendary outfit. It's a legendary promotional company, you know what I mean? From going back to the days of, Bobby Ches and guys like Livingston, the Ragamuffin Man, Bramble, and what's the guy, rest in peace, who passed away? At 130 pounds, man, was a great fighter, man. I thought he beat Cesar Chavez. Um, Damn it, man, what's that guy's name? I always be forgetting his name, man, and I know him well, man. He fought Tony the Tiger Lopez in a great fight in Sacramento. 130-pound champion. He knocked out Roger Mayweather. Rest in peace. He cried. He became a pipehead. You know what I mean? But yeah, Main Events, man. They had Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, man. They had a lot of people. Pernell Whitaker. It's a classic Main Events. Vinny Paz. It's a classic promotional outfit. And I'd like to see him. I got nothing against Kathy Duva, but Kathy Duva has done a lot of bad stuff in boxing. That's why her Main Events ain't a powerhouse like they used to be and should be. But I'd love for them to get back on top like they used to. You know what I mean? Where we at in the chat? Where we at in the chat? Todd French 600 says, I did like the fact that Pascal let his hands go early. It made for an exciting fight. That was the only thing he could do. He has a bad gas tank. His only opportunity for winning this fight is trying to let go his hands go early, and he was threw a whole lot of punches. He exceeded his average as far as punches in the first few rounds, you know what I mean? And he caught the man Pascal. I'm sorry, Badou Jack in the fourth round. You know what I mean? Because he knows his gas tank, you know what I'm saying? Bad gas tank. Go watch B Hop versus Pascal, the first fight, where he had dropped B Hop twice and he was up big on the scorecards. Then I had B Hop winning from round 5 till round 12, and they gave it a draw. I really had B Hop winning that fight. Another fight with Pascal versus Lucien Bute. He was beating the shit out of Lucien Bute the first 6 rounds. Then he started to fade. You know what I mean? That's just what Pascal do. Um, uh, Mr. Doc says, B Marsh Boxing, does Jack look like he's slipping at all? Jack's fought nothing but tough fights for years. As I recall, his softest touch in the last 3, 4 years has been Cleverly. Now, I don't think he's slipping one bit. I thought he won this fight. He's a slow starter, we know this. But the guy started now landing them body shots, landing straight right hands, you know what I mean? And look what he did to the man Pascal in the 12th round, man. He was beating the heck up out of him. Nah, he got robbed in this fight, man. B Marsh Boxing don't be saying robberies like that on my channel, dogs. That's not what I do. If you see titles, you'll see like a controversial. So and so wins a controversial decision. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna come here and we're gonna talk about it. But I feel this is a robbery. That's just what I feel. And I felt that before the score. And when they showed them punch stats, go man, look at them punch stats. And I don't judge fights on a punch stat. You know what I mean? Because some of them are skewed, but the man did land over 90 punches according to the punch stats, total punches. How'd he lose this fight? So, no, I don't think he's slipping at all, Mr. Doc, not one bit. Todd French 600 says, but Jack has got to let his hands go. But Jack was. Jack outlanded and outlanded dude by over 90 punches. He was. Jack wasn't keeping his hands in his pocket, not one bit. Finks out of boxing says Pascal as a WBC silver under better beef. Yeah, man, go ahead, make that fight in Canada, man. Pascal always talks about he's the cash cow. Bernard, take the test. Bernard, take the test. Take the test. Y'all remember that? When he was accusing B up of steroids? He always says, I'm the cash cow. I like Pascal, man. He cool, man. But he ain't win this fight. Todd French 600 says, when he did let his hands go, he was very accurate. Yeah, Badou Jack is definitely an accurate puncher who doesn't waste punches, you know what I mean? Todd French 600 says Meldrick Taylor. No, it wasn't Meldrick Taylor. Nah. I'm going to remember his name like I always do without no box record, nothing. 130 pounds. He was a champion. He beat Roger Mayweather. He had fights with Eusebio Pedrosa at featherweight, and one of them I thought he won. He fought him twice. Rocky Lockridge. There we go. I knew I was going to get it. Rocky Lockridge. No box reg, nothing. Straight off the top. That's what I'm talking about. Mr. Doc says Randall. Nah, it's Rocky Lockridge. Go watch Rocky Lockridge, man. He was a very good fighter, man. And if Arturo Gotti and Boom Boom Mancini in the Hall of Fame, put that man in the Hall of Fame too. Go look at what that man did to the man, Roger Mayweather. I thought he beat Julio Cesar Chavez. He ain't get the victory, you know. Um, I thought he had a great classic fight with Wilfredo Bazooka Gomez, which could go either way. Rocky Lockridge is that dude, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, man. Yeah. Mr. Doc says Kathy Duva done Kovalev dirty. Only paid him a cut of the pay-per-view for the Ward rematch. Yeah, man. And they overpaid. Rock Nation overpaid Ward. You know what I mean? They gave him like $7 million for a fight I think they had at the MGM. They only had 3,000 people in that joint. But I don't care about stuff like that. I like fighters to get as much money as they can. And if they get duped by their promoter, it's messed up. But at the end of the day, I'm more concerned about fights. I don't be talking that accounting stuff on my channel like that, you know what I mean? Um, but I feel you, Mr. Doc. I remember seeing that paycheck. That joint had nothing. He only had to get money from the revenue from the pay-per-view and the live gate, if that. And like I said, they only had like 3,000 people in that joint. Thinks Out of Boxing says, I think if you rate veteran tactics, then Pascal wins. But if you like clean work, than Jack all day. I feel you, man. Todd French 600 says the judging has been extremely suspect as of late. I'm trying to think which other fight was really suspect. I'm trying to think. Maybe that fight over there, Triple G versus Derevchenko, or the fight with Rocky Feldman versus Callum Smith. Yeah, possibly. Todd French 600 says, "Damn, that was some wars at 130." Yeah, yeah. Rocky Lockridge, absolutely. Mr. Doc says, "That's right. Lockridge made Chavez Sr. box. Nobody did that to Chavez Sr." Yeah, man. He had the man Chavez Jr. confused, and that fight was all the way in France. You know what I mean? A Mexican and an American from Seattle, Washington. Hey, Mr. Doc, ain't Rocky Lockridge from over there in the great Northwest? Ain't he from Seattle, Washington? If I'm mistaken, he is. If I'm not mistaken, if you can let us know in the chat, Mr. Doc, you know what I mean? Yeah, man. Um, Todd French 600 says, the old smoke and mirrors, a la Hopkins style. Yes, indeed. Take the test. Thinks out of the box and says, teach B. Marsh, Rocky Lockridge. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Rocky Lockridge was a fun fighter. I like that fight versus Tony Lopez, man. He lost a close fight, man, but he landed one sledgehammer on to Tiger Lopez. I don't know how that guy. I don't know how he got up off of that, and it was in his hometown of Sacramento. You know, Tony the Tiger Lopez was like a franchise over there in Sacramento. When he fought, the fight sold out in the Arco Arena where the Sacramento Kings play. You know what I mean? He was like a franchise because the city only got the Kings. So when Tony the Tiger Lopez fought, it was a big deal. You know what I mean? And that fight with Rocky Lockridge was epic. Yeah, Mr. Doc says Rocky Lockridge is from Tacoma, Washington. Yeah, man. I knew he's from out there in the great Northwest. You know what I mean? From Washington State. True indeed. It's sad how what became of his life though, how he became a pipehead, and was on the streets homeless, and he was on that show on A&E called Intervention. I ain't gonna lie, when people be putting up a meme of him that time he was crying, I don't like that meme. I don't, because I know the guy from boxing. You know what I mean? A lot of people just think he's a pipehead on TV on the Intervention show, and they make a meme when he was crying. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it one bit because I know the guy and he was more than that. You know what I mean? He was a good fighter. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't like that meme one bit. And I'm sure his children, whom he was crying and pouring his heart out to, just like he was, I'm sure they get disgusted every time they see that meme. You know what I mean? Yes, indeed. Thinks out of the box that says V Marsh got all the corners of the court covered. You know it, man. I like basketball and boxing. Basketball is my favorite team sport. Boxing's my favorite individual one-on-one sport. But boxing over everything when it comes to a fight. Like even if there's a playoff game, NFL or NBA on, if there's a world title fight, I'm watching boxing. We only get boxing once a week on Saturday. I watch NBA Monday through Friday. Saturday I watch boxing. Sunday I'm gonna watch NFL. So I watch boxing over everything when it comes to a major fight, world title fights. Badou Jack versus Pascal. I'll watch if there's a playoff game tonight. I'm gonna watch that, but I'll probably have if the Celtics is on, I'm gonna probably put the fight on the iPad too. You know what I mean? Yes, indeed. Todd French 600 says that was the only way he could have gotten Lopez, especially in his own hometown. He was harder than woodpecker lips. True indeed. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's what he had to do, man. It was a great fight. Tony the Tiger Lopez versus I like Tony the Tiger Lopez fights too versus Brian Mitchell, great fighter from South Africa. To me, a top three greatest fighter out of Africa. You know what I mean? 130 pounds, one of the best ever at 130 pounds. Definitely top five greatest fighters at 130 pounds. The greatest fighter at 130, I give it to Floyd Mayweather at 130. I even put Pacquiao top five at 130. I put Camacho up there too. Camacho is a bad man at 130. Hey, did y'all watch that Teddy Atlas Teddy Atlas podcast when he talking about he was fighting with Camacho in the ring? Oh man, I don't know if y'all heard that, Jay, man. That Jay was funny, man. You know what I'm saying? Hector Camacho, man, 130. Brian Azuma Nelson is top five greatest fighters at 130 as well. There's been some great fighters, you know what I mean? You check it. So, um, what's his name? Alexis Arguello, great fighter at 130 pounds, you know what I mean? The explosive thin man. Yes, indeed. Todd French 600 says, "LOL, what happened? He tightened up Atlas LMO." Nah, man, I'm going. You're gonna have to go listen to that podcast and go listen to how Teddy Atlas neutralized Hector Camacho. Mr. Doc says Teddy Atlas talking about he grabbed Camacho by the hair and kneed him in the face. Hella, yeah, man. That's exactly what he said he did, Mr. Doc. That was funny, man. I just was imagining it in my mind because Hector Camacho is one of my all-time favorite fighters because he was one of the first fighters I ever knew as a kid in the 80s, you know what I mean? I didn't know nothing about no weight classes, what fighters in which divisions. I knew people by name. Tommy Hearns, Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Duran. I knew these guys in the 80s before I even knew who Mike Tyson was. Hector Camacho, I knew him before Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? Larry Holmes. I knew these guys before Mike Tyson. You know, these are the few names when I was a little kid that I remember in boxing. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I didn't know who had what belt. I didn't know who fought in what division. I just knew guys by name. You know what I'm saying? Todd French, Todd French 600 says LMO. He's laughing. Yeah, it's hilarious. Mr. Doc says macho time. What time is it? Macho time. And Aaron Pryor's was, what time is it? Hawk time. Mr. Doc says Camacho was big time. Camacho was a superstar, man. My mom used to like Hector Macho Camacho. That's probably why I got to know him real well. She used to like him. You know what I mean? Hector Macho Camacho, great fighter, man, at 130. Todd French says, I remember Vinny. Yeah, Vinny Pazienza was a good fighter at lightweight, man. Vinny Paz. Vinny Paz, man. I watched his movie. Vinny Paz follows me on Twitter, and I follow him too. He followed me first, you know what I mean? Or maybe I followed him first. I don't know. But at the end of the day, he follows me on Twitter, and he's a cool guy. If you tweet to him, if you write to him, he will respond back. You know what I mean? You know, Vinny Paz a cool dude, man. Vinny Paz, I went to watch his movie in the movie theater. I supported it because I knew Vinny Paz as a kid because I used to live back in Boston. And in the New England area, Vinny Paz was one of the best fighters, you know what I mean? I remember he used to have wars with a guy named Dana Rosenblatt, you know what I mean? A guy from Boston, and these guys hated each other. Vinny Paz was on main events with the Duvas, you know what I mean? Italian dude, cool dude. Yeah, man. Um, Mr. Doc says to Todd French, Tasmanian Devil. Yep. I hate that fight with Roy Jones versus Vinny Paz, man. That fight is such a farce. Vinny Paz at 168, man, he looks like he's juiced to the gills. And I'm not even saying Vinny Paz is a steroid guy. No. I ain't saying that, but just how he looks. He looks so artificial, inflated, like he got some souped up muscles, you know what I mean? He looked more like a bodybuilder. And if you know Vinny Paz, he's a lightweight fighting Roy Jones at 168. Man, he got battered, man. I hate that fight. I didn't like that fight one bit because I thought, man, this guy Roy Jones is cherry picking, man. Why he ain't fight Michael Nunn at 168? You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Todd French says, I remember Vinny. Yes, sir. Aldrin Massillin says, robbery fight. Yep, I agree. If you're talking about Badou Jack versus Pascal, I think it's a robbery too, man. Uh, 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 Todd French says, damn, that's awesome. Yes, indeed. Aldrin Massillin says, Paz and Haugen hated each other. Yep, they sure did. They fought like 3 times, and I think Vinny Paz only won once. Yeah, he beat him for the IBF strap, and then Greg Haugen got it back from him. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Greg Haugen was a tough SOB too. He's from out there from the I think he's from Alaska or something, or Washington, or was born in Alaska and grew up in Washington. He's from out there in the great Northwest. That's what I do know. I know Mr. Doc told us enough stories about uh, Greg Haugen. You know what I mean? Todd French says, "Damn, Lou Duva, one of the best trainers I ever seen. The things he did with Holyfield, strictly amazing. True indeed. Yeah, man. Good trainer. You know what I mean? Really and truly, though, he was more like the guy who amps people up. George Banton was the real trainer over there at main events. You know what I mean? He was a real trainer in Holyfield's camp with Don Turner. You know what I'm saying? And guys like when he trained Pernell Whitaker. You know what I mean? But Lou Duva was the patriarch. You know what I mean? He was really the boss over there at main events. I remember when Roger Mayweather knocked Roger Mayweather cut him with one punch because this old man was trying to charge at Roger Mayweather after that fight with Vinny Paz. And in the movie they depicted that exactly like it happened. That's one thing I give props to Vinny Paz movie. It's pretty accurate. I remember as a kid when them fellas got in the car accident and the man had a halo on his head. You know, this guy had a halo on his head, and he came back. And I think in his first fight, he won a world title at 154 pounds. He was the first fighter in boxing history to win a title at 135 pounds, and then not win a title at 140, not a title at 147, but then win a title at 154. He was the first guy to do that. You know what I mean? When he beat the guy, I think Gilbert Deli, guy from France. You know what I mean? I'm a Vinny Paz fan. You know, do I think he should be in the Hall of Fame? Look, if Arturo Gatti and Boom Boom Mancini in there, put Vinny Paz in there too. You know, when you lower the standards, man, and put guys like there's somebody else who I always forget to mention is in the Hall, like Riddick Bowe. I don't think Riddick Bowe's a Hall of Famer. You just don't become a Hall of Famer because you beat Holyfield. You just had a trilogy with Holyfield and you beat him 2 out of 3 times. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not. I like Riddick Bowe, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer neither. I like Buddy McGirt too. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer neither. Buddy McGirt has never beaten a Hall of Famer on his resume. He's lost to Hall of Famers, you know. But hey, man, if it was up to me, I know where my vote would go. This year, in 2020, Shane Mosley, Bernard Hopkins, and Juan Manuel Marquez being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I think all three of them deserve to. You know what I'm saying? So, Mr. Doc says Pazienza had put muscle on and moved up after the accident because of his neck to get his physicality back. True indeed. They show all that too in the movie, like how he was secretly working out with that halo on his head. Um, oh, Aldrin Marcelin asks, who you got, Wilder or Fury? I got Deontay Wilder. Mr. Doc says, from Alaska, went to high school out here for a bit. My drummer's dad says he punched him and two of his buddies up by himself in a Dairy Queen parking lot in Auburn. Yeah, man, you told us that story, man. That Jay's hilarious. Todd French is laughing. That's a funny story, man. You should hear Mr. Doc say it live on air. Todd French says definitely not, especially after he dropped the WBC belt in the trash. I agree, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. He did stuff like that. He never fought no Mike Tyson. He ain't fight no Lennox Lewis. You know, this guy was getting beat up by Galata. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, man. You don't reward an undisciplined guy with the Hall of Fame just because he's beat Holyfield twice. You know what I mean? No. Todd French says, yes, all three. What you talking about, all three? Mr. Doc says, I agree. Bo had Hall of Fame talent, but certainly not a Hall of Fame resume. Exactly, man. You know? Remember him making title defenses versus Jesse Ferguson. You know what I mean? That wasn't cool, man. Fought with his fought Jesse Ferguson in an undisputed fight with all three titles. You know what I mean? Now, granted, sure, Jesse Ferguson had a big win over Ray Mercer, which he wasn't supposed to win. That's how he got the title shot, because that should have been Ray Mercer in there. But then again, Riddick Bowe, man. And I liked Riddick Bowe in the 90s, you know what I mean? Riddick Bowe used to wear the Fila. He used to be sponsored by Fila, and Fila was popping around them towns, 92, 93. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, B Marsh Boxing about to seal the deal on this live stream. I appreciate all y'all coming through. It's 2:54 a.m. on the East Coast. Just had to make these videos before I crash. You know what I mean? Good night of boxing. The city of Atlanta, they kind of turned up late. They were trying to be fashionably late because they started trickling in during the Badou Jack versus Pascal fight. You know what I mean? That's when the seats started to fill up. You know what I'm saying? Hop, what's up, Hop? Hop's in the chat says, loved Riddick Bro. Fantastic jab at times. Hey, man, Riddick Bowe was a solid fighter, dogs. Riddick Bowe's jab was vicious and his inside game, you know. Look, man, I don't even know if Lennox Lewis could have beat him in the pros. I don't know. We'll never know if that fight happens. I don't know if Lennox Lewis could fight on the inside. And if it came to an inside fight, it was all Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe would have won on the inside battle. But we'll never know. We'll never know. We'll never know. Fights we didn't get to see. I think in my series on my YouTube channel, that was probably the very first fights we didn't get to see video I ever did. Riddick Bowe versus Lennox Lewis, fights we didn't get to see. If you guys have any suggestions of fights that we never got to see as boxing fans, of guys who were in the same time period were supposed to fight, like Yuriokis Gamboa versus Juanma Lopez, or Yuriokis Gamboa versus Mikey Garcia. These are fights we never got to see. Um, Adonis Stevenson versus Kovalev. We never got to see Adonis Stevenson versus Bihop. Adonis Stevenson versus Ward. Adonis Stevenson versus Carl Froch. Fights we never got to see. If you guys have any, just let me know in the comment section. Word to God, I'll make a video about it. You know what I'm saying? I tell you a fight we never got to see. And Hector Camacho versus Edwin Chapo Rosales. Two Puerto Ricans. One from both of them born in the island, but Camacho born in Spanish. I'm sorry, raised in Spanish Harlem. He's more of a New York Rican. Would have made for a great fight. Now I'm bugging. They did fight. I'm talking about not I'm bugging. Not Chapo Rosales versus Pernell Whitaker. I'm bugging. I even forgot that Rosales and and Camacho fought. They had a great fight, man. Controversial fight, but I thought Camacho won the fight. He was never the same after that fight, though. But I'm talking about Pernell Whitaker versus Chapo Rosales. Let me see what y'all saying in the chat. Todd French 600 says, "Yep," until he ran into old Andrew. True indeed. Hop says, "Thanks for seeing the boxing community so well, B. Marsh. Here's a fight I'd love to have seen. Joe Frazier versus Ken Norton. Woo! But that fight probably wouldn't have happened because they both had the same trainer, Eddie Futch. But that would be a great fight. Eddie Futch would have to train one of them. They were both his guys. That's possibly why that fight never got to happen." Mr. Doc says Joe Frazier versus Ken Norton should have happened, absolutely. But then again, Eddie Futch trains both of them. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Doc says, "Hop, great minds think alike." True indeed. Y'all both said the same one. Hop says, "Haha, nice to see you, Mr. Doc." True indeed. Todd French 600 said, "Foreman versus Tyson." I don't think I did one of those yet. I'm gonna definitely do that one. I'm gonna get that one too. I'm gonna get that one. Dedicate that to Todd 600, Todd French 600, for sure. Yes, indeed. Mr. Doc says could have happened when Frazier was still trained by Yancey Durham. True indeed. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, possibly could have happened at that particular time. I'm gonna have to do my research and see which time period. You know what I mean? I probably could do some homework on that and see which time period they fought. You know what I mean? Um, But that's definitely a fight that should have happened, man. Both of them got superior upper body movement, man. The herky jerky head movement. Ah, man. Thinks out of box and says, Yo, B March, what year would it have been for Adonis versus Groves of Froch? 2012. 2012. I did a video on that for sure. Because Adonis was the IBF mandatory. Adonis went through two eliminators. Eddie Hearn and them were trying to keep Adonis far away from Froch as they could. It got to the point where Froch was really about to drop his IBF title and just fight Kessler for that WBA regular joint that he had, because Ward had the real WBA title. You know what I mean? But all of a sudden, I remember the news came out that Adonis Stevenson and Chad Dawson's about to be made. So that man moved up to 175 pounds, and 168-pound title didn't have a mandatory no more. Now it was George Groves, who was now fighting guys like DeGale, you know what I'm saying, for that IBF shot at Carl Froch, you know what I mean? So 2012 was when that fight should have happened. I definitely did a video on that. Yes, indeed. Hop says Ray Leonard versus Aaron Pryor. I did I do a video on that? No, I didn't. I'll definitely do one on that. I did Ray Leonard. I'm sorry. I think I did Ray Leonard versus Donald Curry, and I did Duran versus Aaron Pryor, fights we didn't get to see. Those are and like I always say on those videos, these are not mythical matchups. Like who would win, Sugar Ray Robinson versus Sugar Ray Leonard, or who would win, um, I don't know, Joe Louis versus Deontay Wilder. Nah, we talking about guys who were in the same time period, like I did one for Prince Nassim versus Juan Manuel Marquez. Marquez was his mandatory for like damn near 2 years. That man never got a shot, but they were in negotiations, and Prince Nassim's team offered Juan Manuel Marquez 400 grand. Marquez had never made that type of money in his life. Marquez turned it down. So who ducked who? People, when they try to rewrite history, they always try to make it look like Prince Nassim ain't want no smoke, but he offered this guy Juan Manuel Marquez the most money he'd ever seen. Marquez and Nacho Barristan declined it. Yes, indeed. Todd French 600 says, "Damn, Doc, don't be playing." Mr. Doc says, "Foreman versus Shavers." Woo! Woo! Man, joints like that, Mr. Doc. If I ever do a video like that, I'm gonna have to get you on the air. We're gonna have to do a joint collab for that one. You know what I mean? Cause I know you know. I remember when we did that little tournament quiz on beats joint for the 70s heavyweights, man. Mr. Doc spanked us, man. He smoked us like a chimney. I probably got 2 out of 10 on that one. You know what I'm saying? I probably got 2 out of 10, but I smashed everybody on the 80s light heavyweights. I'm gonna hold that one. I'm gonna hold that W because, you know what I'm saying, I'm real fond of that 80s light heavyweight era. You know what I'm saying? Michael Spinks, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Matthew Saad Muhammad, Dwight Muhammad Kawi, what's the Southpaw? Marvin Johnson, Bobby Chesson then came along. They had the guys in the prison like James Scott in the Rahway prison. That was a very good era. Victor Galandes, Yaki Lopez. You know what I mean? 70s, 80s. That was a great era. Post Bob Foster. You know what I mean? Yes, indeed. Um, Mr. Doc says to Todd French 600, love me some 70s heavyweights. Yeah, Mr. Doc, that's his division all day, that era, you know what I mean? Thinks out of box and says, "Yo, you the man, be Marsh. Thanks, no doubt, man." He says, "Who the fighter of the decade?" Um, Fighter of the decade, I'll give like 5 candidates. Um, let's say Andre Ward. I'll just say four: Andre Ward, Canoli, um, Manny Pacquiao, and Floyd Mayweather. I'd give it to Floyd Mayweather because Floyd Mayweather should have won that in the last decade, but they gave it to Pacquiao. You know what I mean? So in this decade, just give it to Floyd because he deserves it. He deserves it. He has beat Cannoli and he's beat Cannoli, Cotto, all in this decade. Manny Pacquiao, all in this 2010s decade. You know what I mean? So that's my fight of the decade. Floyd, Joy, Money, Mayweather. Todd French 600 said Marquez versus the babyface assassin Antonio Barrera. Who did you have winning that fight, Todd French 600? Let me know who did you have winning Marquez versus Marco Antonio Barrera. Hops in the chat says Muhammad Ali versus Teofilo Stevens. The Cuban gold medalist. Yeah, hey man, they offered the Cuban money to turn pro and fight Ali. He turned the money down, man. He loved his socialism in Cuba. Wanted to be a socialist, so socialism. So them fellas never became a pro. You know what I mean? But that's definitely something I do some homework on, and in the near future, all these joints you guys have mentioned, I'm gonna do them in the near future. You already know. But man, Todd French, let me know in the chat who did you have winning between Marco Antonio Barrera versus Juan Manuel Marquez. Mr. Doc says I'll jump on for a Foreman versus Shavers collab. No problem, bro. True indeed. Yeah, man, I'm gonna definitely link you, man. I'm gonna definitely hit you up when I do one. Um, and then I'm gonna have to figure out how to send you a link. But we're gonna get it done by any means necessary. Mr. Doc says, I thought Barrera got stiffed versus Marquez, though hitting Marquez while he was down didn't help. True indeed. Yeah, man. I thought that fight was close, man, and I thought Marco Antonio Barrera pulled it off. You know what I mean? It was a very tactful bout, very tactful. You know what I mean? It was a chess match. It was Mexican supremacy. You know what I mean? But I thought Barrera pulled it off. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get the W, but I thought it could have gone either way. But it was a high chess match. Unrivaled Boxing Talk. What's up? McGregor's in the chat. He says Sweet Pea versus Duran. But that's what I'm talking about. Unrivaled. I when I do fights we didn't get to see, I do only like guys who was in the same era. You know what I mean? Like for example, I said like Carl Froch versus Adonis Stevenson. That's a fight we should have got. Adonis being the mandatory, a fight we never got to see. I'm not doing no mythical matchups like who would win Hector Camacho at 130 versus Floyd Mayweather at 130. Nah, that's not what we're doing. Fights we didn't get to see is fighters who were in the same era who should have fought. You know what I mean? Harry Wills. I did one on the heavyweights. Harry Wills versus Jack Dempsey. You know what I'm saying? You check it, guys who were supposed to fight. You know what I mean? But they didn't get to fight for whatever reason, whether it was politics or whatever. I do one for Vinny Paz. Oh yeah, I did one for not Vinny Paz, excuse me, Johnny Tapia. Johnny Tapia was ducking the shit out of my guy from DC, the youngest man to ever make the International Boxing Hall of Fame, Mark Too Sharp Johnson. Johnny Tapia didn't want no parts of that guy. They was around in the same era. Every time Too Sharp Johnson moved up in weight where Tapia was, Tapia got the F up out of Dodge and moved up to a higher weight, from flyweight to super flyweight to bantamweight, and then Too Sharp Johnson moved up to bantamweight. Then fella Johnny Tapia said, "You know what? I know how to shake this guy. I'm gonna move from bantamweight to featherweight." And he fought Marco Antonio Barrera, man, and he got beat up. I ain't like that fight. I ain't like that fight one bit because Johnny Tapia is a small dude and Barrera beat the shit out of him. But that was a fat Johnny Tapia, man. That's not his natural weight class, but he tried to move up all the time to avoid Mark True Sharp Johnson. And I did a video on that. Go check it out on my playlist, Fights We Didn't Get to See. Yes, indeed. Um, Todd French 600 says it could have went either way. Yeah, it could have gone either way, but I gave it to Barrera. True indeed. Two counter punches, absolutely. Two great counter punches, Mexican American Mexicans. Hop says Hearn versus McCallum. I haven't done one of those. I need to do one of those. That should have happened. Definitely should have happened. McCallum versus Duran. That should have happened. You know what I mean? McCallum versus Ray Leonard should have happened too. Unrivaled Boxing Talk says, "Oh, same errors. Yeah, absolutely same errors. Yep, just yep. Unrivaled got it. Yep, Ward versus Stevenson. Absolutely. That's a fight that should have happened from 2013 when Stevenson knocked out Chad Dawson. He got on the mic with Kellerman and said, "You see why? You see why Kessler and Andre Ward they don't want and Carl Froch they don't want to fight me. They don't want to fight me. You see why?" You know what I'm saying? He called them out. And Michelle Yvonne and them, they drafted up a contract, sent it to Andre Ward. Let's do a two-fight deal. You know what I'm saying? The first fight at 168. You know what I mean? We do the fight in I think Montreal, okay? Then we do the rematch at 175 in Oakland, California, in Ward's hometown. And Ward never took him up on that offer, you know what I mean? This man Andre Ward fought Kovalev twice. Kovalev's the man who ducked Adonis Stevenson twice. You know what I'm saying? He beat him. He beat him. He had three belts. He needed one more to become undisputed. That man Andre Ward just retired. I ain't like that one bit neither, man. I ain't like that. I wanted to see that undisputed at light heavyweight. You know what I mean? Darius Michikowski versus Roy Jones. Fights we didn't get to see. You know what I'm saying? All right, where we at in the chat? Mr. Doc says Duran was up at 154 when Whitaker was at 135. Yeah, he was. Yep. Mr. Doc says 154, 160. Yes, indeed. Todd Fresh 600 says, I would have gave it to Antonio even without the knockdown that should have been counted. Absolutely, man. I thought Antonio Barrera won that fight. Mr. Doc says, Unrivaled Boxing Talks and News. There you go. That's one that should have happened with Stevenson. Was at 116, 168. IIRC. Yep. Todd French says, I remember Johnny. I remember Johnny. Damn. What you talking about, Johnny? Oh, Johnny Tapia. Yeah. Johnny Tapia. Hop says Mosley Mayweather at lightweight. Yeah, man. But Mosley, man. When he was at 135 with that IBF lightweight title, he went up to 147 to fight De La Hoya. You know who was lurking at 140? Fights we didn't get to see? Yeah, a guy from Australia, a Russian dude by the name of Kostya Tszyu. Kingpin, one of the greatest of all time at 140. Bar none, top five, dead or alive at 140. You know what I mean? Them fellas Mosley didn't go fight chain. Even De La Hoya, he ain't fight, but De La Hoya got bailed out. He got bailed out by um Kostya Tszyu losing to Vince Phillips for that IBF title. You know what I'm saying? If Kostya Tszyu never lost that fight, he would have fought De La Hoya. That fight was brewing at 140. De La Hoya versus Kostya Tszyu. You know what I mean? Damn shame we ain't get to see that fight. Mr. Doc says McCollum got a lot of fights we didn't get to see, sadly. Man, McCollum, man, to me, he's an unofficial member of the Fantastic Four or the Fearless Four from the 80s. He's an unofficial member. He would have beat one of those guys, Tommy Hearns, Duran, Ray Leonard, or Hagler. He would have got a W against at least one of them. He never got the opportunity, you know what I mean? First man to beat Ayub Kalula, too. Great fighter, lineal champ at 154 that Ray Leonard beat for that WBA strap. Ayub Kalula from Uganda. Good fighter. Unrivaled Boxing Talk says Graziano versus Lamada. Absolutely, man. 1940 middleweights. Yeah. Yep, that's a fight that should have happened. Cause what's his name? Graziano fought the other. Fought the other. There was three Italians. There was Jake LaMotta, Graziano. Who's the other one, man? And they were friends too. Damn it, man. What's the other one's name? Graziano, LaMotta. Tony Zale. Tony Zale. Yep, Tony Zale. You know what I'm saying? Those were great fighters from the 40s. And then the man, them fellas, Ray Leonard came up. I said Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Robinson came up in weight, you know what I'm saying? And had great fights with Jake LaMotta. But that's absolutely a fight we didn't get to see. You know what I mean? A great fighter from them eras, too, is a guy by the name of Marcel Sedan from France. Very good fighter. You know what I'm saying? He fought all these guys. This is Tony Zale and um, what's the guy's name? Jake LaMotta. But he passed away when they was about to do the rematch. Okay, where we at? Unrivaled says it should have happened for Undisputed at 175. Also after Kovalev, but Ward retired. Yeah, man, Ward retired, man. And you know what blew me, man? What really got me upset when the man Terrence Crawford became undisputed on ESPN by beating Ndongo, took two straps off Ndongo. Andre Ward interviewed him at the end of the fight, and he was like, "Damn, bud, you make me want to go out there and become undisputed too." When he heard that, man, my eyes lit up. Like, oh my gosh, he's actually gonna consider fighting Stevenson. Andre Ward never mentioned Stevenson's name out his mouth. When any of the reporters or media asked Andre Ward anything about Stevenson, Andre Ward face got tight, man. He ain't like to hear that name. Look, man, the fight never happened. I don't know who would have won that fight, but I'd have loved to see it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people would have favored Ward. You never know Adonis Stevenson with that one knockout punch power and the body shots and that long reach. You know what I mean? Stamina would might be the issue, and Ward might drown him in the later rounds like he did Kovalev in the first fight. But we'll never know. We'll never know. There must be a reason, man. That guy Virgil Hill, man, Virgil Hunter told Ward, man, don't fight that dude. Stay away from that dude. That's exactly what happened. Unrivaled Boxing Talks is at 168 Frotch Duck Stevenson. Absolutely, man. It was getting me upset. Ward, Adonis Stevenson went through two title eliminators. Man, this guy Ward was holding that IBF strap hostage, man. Even Lucian Bute before Frotch wasn't trying to fight Adonis Stevenson in Canada for that IBF strap. Unrivaled Boxing Talk says ran from his Mando with a fake regular unification. Yep, that WBA regular title with Kessler. Unrivaled Boxing Talk says Big Kostya. Yeah, Kostya's one of my all-time favorite fighters. I don't care what nobody says. I love that dude. Kostya Zoo was my guy. Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame. Well deserved. Undisputed. Was the last fighter who was undisputed at 140 before Bud Crawford. And in his time, you only needed three belts. He got the WBC from Juan Angel Gonzalez, a guy that they were trying to say is like a new age Julio Cesar Chavez. I never saw it. Juan Angel Gonzalez. Then he got the IBF strap. I'm sorry, WBA strap from Shambe Mitchell and the IBF when he knocked out Zab Judah. Todd French 600 says, damn, I remember when Costa beat Zab. Yep, knocked him out in the second round. Hop says, Salvador Sanchez versus Julio Cesar Chavez. I made a video about that and you can check it out in my historical accounts on my playlist. And the video was, would it was something to the effect like, would Julio Cesar Chavez go 89-0 if Salvador Sanchez didn't pass away? Because that fight was inevitable. That fight would have happened if Salvador Sanchez didn't pass away. You know what I mean? He was going to move up to 130. You know what I'm saying? Azuma Nelson even said that out his mouth. That fight was going to happen. You know what I mean? But that's a great one, man, Mr. Hop. I might do a personal just fights we didn't get to see video about that, but I made that historical accounts video. Would Julio Cesar Chavez go 89-0 if Salvador Sanchez didn't pass away? And I don't think he would, because I thought guys like Rocky Lockridge beat Julio Cesar Chavez. You know what I mean? Todd French 600 says, I remember when Costa beat Zab. True indeed. Unrivaled says, McCallum duck like the plague, Mr. Duck. Who'd he duck? McCallum ain't duck nobody. Or he was if you mean he was ducked, absolutely. Uh, Unrivaled Boxing Talk says P-Rock versus GGG. Absolutely. I definitely have a video on that. It's on my playlist, fights we didn't get to see. P-Rock versus GGG for WBO, WBA unification. Fights we didn't get to see. They had a date on HBO, 2012, I think around sometime in June, summertime. Highly anticipating. And what's his name? P-Rock broke his back. He pulled out the fight. That's why Triple G fought that dude like his name Prozac or something. That white dude Triple G knocked up and put under the ropes. Unrivaled Boxing Talk talking about Nino Benavides. What about no, not. I was talking about Tony Zell. Yeah, Tony Zell. Yep. Mr. Doc says Benitez could have fought McCallum too. Fought Duran and Hearns at 154. Absolutely. And he would have got battered, man. Benitez would have got battered by that young McCallum at 154, man. Man. I mean, look what that guy Durant bodied from the Bronx. What's that guy's name from the Bronx that Durant beat up in MSG and beat him up, man. Punished him in for like 8, 9 rounds. That same dude beat up Benitez in 2 rounds. I'm forgetting his name, man. You know, we talking boxing, man. I be talking all these old boxers' names. Sometimes it escapes my mind, but I'll remember it without looking at no box rec. You know what I mean? I'm not a box rec warrior. You check it. I only look at box rec really. Maybe when I'm about to do a prediction video, prediction breakdown and prediction to see people's records and their measurements. What's the guy's name, man? Yup, Davy Moore. There you go, Mr. Doc. Thank you. Mr. Doc said Davy Moore. Yeah, Davy Moore beat up Benitez after he had got demolished by Duran. You know what I mean? Now imagine what Mike McCallum would have done to Benitez. Benitez was washed up in his early 20s because of all them fights he had from being a champion by the age of 17. He was already washed up, you know what I'm saying? Damn shame, man. Um, Mr. Doc says Benitez's performance versus Duran was brilliant. That was definitely a good performance by him. And even when he beat up Maurice Hope, excuse me, the guy from England. Unrivaled Boxing Talk says, did Griffin ever fight Giardello? Don't think so. Um, Not that I know of. Not that I know of. Joey Giardello, nah. Nah, because at them times, them fellas was a 147 pounder when Joey Giardello was a middleweight. You know what I mean? Manny Rodriguez says Tank is fighting feather fisted 126 pounder Leo Santa Cruz next on pay per view. I wouldn't doubt it one bit. And Manny Rodriguez, Leo Santa Cruz is not just a 126 pounder. Leo Santa Cruz started at bantamweight. Never forget. And that's who Tank Davis will probably be fighting in 2020 in a pay per view. So he's not a natural 126 pounder. Now he's campaigning at 130 with a fake title because the other guy, that guy from that Alvarado guy who beat Cancel, the dude from Nicaragua, he's a real WBA champion to me. He fought a tougher fighter than Leo Santa Cruz did. Boxing's messed up. I hate these titles, man. I hate if in a perfect world in boxing, really and truly, I just want two sanctioning bodies, WBA, WBC, and not necessarily them two, but just two sanctioning bodies, IBF and whatever, just two, okay? Just like it used to be back in the day, man. Unrivaled Boxing Talk says, Manny, is that official? Um, what are you talking about, Manny? Manny, is that official? Who you talking about? Unrivaled says, no, he was ducked, B. Yeah, if you talking about, what's his name was ducked? Adonis, no question. Or who you talking about? Manny Rodriguez says, Edwin Valera versus Manny Pacquiao. Always a fight I wanted to see. Absolutely. And I definitely have a video on that on my playlist. Go check it out. I know that got thousands of views. That's a video people are definitely interested in. I'd love to see that fight. And there was two times it was about to fight at 130 and at 135. You know what I mean? And we never got to see those fights. And Freddie Roach wanted those fights. You know, Freddie wanted those fights for the man Pacquiao. Mr. Doc says Davy Moore. Yep. Unrivaled says Moore. Absolutely. Davy Moore. Yeah, man. Hop says, were any of the following possible opponents for Roy Jones? Michael Nunn? Yep. All those guys you mentioned, Michael Nunn, Chris Eubank, Nigel Benn, fights we didn't get to see for Roy Jones. I'm not going to lie, Roy Jones wasn't my guy growing up. I wasn't a fan like that. I like Pernell Whitaker. That was my guy. Those two guys used to always be on the top of the pound for pound list. And Pernell Whitaker was my guy. You know what I mean? I thought he was the best fighter. Roy Jones used to upset me with the competition he was fighting. At 168, he fought a whole bunch of nobodies. He even fought a full-time cop at 168. You know what I mean? He fought a souped-up Vinny Paz. Vinny Paz looking like a bodybuilder out there. You know what I mean? He didn't fight Michael Nunn at 168 or 175. Didn't fight no Eubanks, Nigel Benz, none of those guys. You know what I mean? Nigel Ben and them, and they wasn't coming to USA and Eubank Senior. They should have, cause Roy Jones was damn sure not leaving the country after he got robbed in the '88 Seoul Korea Olympics. He wasn't leaving USA. You know what I mean? Darius Michikowski was making $1 million per fight over there, fighting anybody in Germany, but he got offered $5 million to fight Roy Jones in USA. He ain't want to come here, man. You know, some people try to put the blame also on Roy Jones. He should have gone to Germany for what? Roy Jones is a recognized fighter in the world. He's on the pound for pound list. He wasn't a big money maker like Floyd Mayweather or De La Hoya or Sugar Ray Leonard. You know what I'm saying? But he was that dude. And Michikowski should have came here. But Michikowski had no incentive of doing that. For what? And by the way, I personally think Darius Michikowski should be in the Hall of Fame. I think he should. He has only 2 losses in his career. He's a champion in 2 weight classes, cruiserweight and light heavyweight. And Darius Michikowski beat Virgil Hill, and he was the first man. He was the lineal champion for all them years. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? He has only 1 loss. He only got stopped once in his life by Fabrice Tiozzi. You know what I'm saying? So Darius Michikowski's that dude. He didn't. He ain't got the Hall of Famers like that on his resume, but he has the most title defenses ever at light heavyweight. You know what I mean? I respect him, man. I think he's a good fighter. Triple G, when he came on the scene, started to remind me. He reminded me of Darius Michikowski. Okay, where we at in the chat? Mr. Doc says McCallum versus Benitez would have had to happen around 82. Say around the time he fought Kalule. Then it would have been a great chess match. Benitez versus Duran was in 82. Yeah, but at that time, Mike McCallum was still raw. Mike McCallum represented Jamaica in 1980 Olympics. So by 82, he wasn't that seasoned yet. You know what I mean? He beat Kalule, yeah, but Benitez was a much better fighter at that stage. But by the time 85 came around, where the guy McCallum was beating Sean Mannion for his world title, for the vacant WBA world title that Duran dropped in order to duck McCallum, then at that time, if he fought Benitez, he would have slaughtered him, man. Sacrificial lamb. Manny Rodriguez says, I would put my money on Lomachenko to beat Teofimo Lopez, even though I will be rooting for Teofimo in that fight. I don't know who wins that fight, man. I don't know who wins that fight. But right now, I'd favor Lomachenko as well. Absolutely. Mr. Doc says, Roy Jones could have fought Gerald McClellan too, if I recall. There was talk of a Julian Jackson fight, but Jackson and McClellan ended up fighting each other. Absolutely. And Roy Jones didn't want to fight the G-Man because he said the G-Man's his friend, and he didn't want to fight his friend. But the G-Man had beat Roy Jones in the amateurs, you know what I mean? Manny Rodriguez says, EA Sports needs to bring Fight Night back. Who you telling, man? We haven't had a fight night since 2011, my G. And we're going into 2020 and no video games. Disgusting, man. It's foul. It's not even foul on EA Sports because I'm pretty sure EA Sports probably would consider doing it. It's boxing. Boxing is not like UFC or WWF under one banner. These boxers at this stage of their career, they more than just fighters. They businessmen now. They probably want a whole lot of money for their likeness to be on a video game. So getting the licenses for each individual fighter, it's going to be difficult, man. It's going to be very hard, you know what I mean? Hop says, Ibiabuchi Holyfield. Yeah, that would have been a great fight. Yeah, that fight could have been made around them times. Or Ibiabuchi and Mike Tyson. Those were viable fights at the time, you know what I mean? Manny Rodriguez says, you seen Paul Williams at the Tangamboa weigh-in? Remember Paul Williams versus Sergio Martinez? Absolutely. Can never forget that fight. The first fight, I had Sergio Martinez win that fight. I thought he beat Paul Williams in the first fight. The second fight, Sergio Martinez ain't leave it to the judges. You know what he did? He put that man to sleep, face flat on the canvas with his eyes open, and he was drooling out his mouth. It's crazy. When Pacquiao was put to sleep, Pacquiao, you really couldn't see his eyes or his face. You just could see his hair, and his face was buried under all that hair. Cause you remember when Pacquiao fought Marquez in the fourth fight, a fight he was whooping Marquez's ass. He was beating the shit out of Marquez. That was a great fight for the 6 rounds it lasted. Marquez Pacquiao 4, and a lot of people were mad that they were making we Pacquiao Marquez 4. Nobody wants to see that. It ended up to be the knockout of the millennium. You know what I'm saying? But yo, be watch boxing. I've been here for an hour, 10 minutes. I'm about to go to bed, man. It's 3:30 East Coast Pacific time. Hop says one more. Eric Morales versus Naseem Hamed. That's a fight that could have happened. Absolutely, absolutely at featherweight. That's a fight that could have happened. Um, Prince Naseem had Mexican problems. He had Marco Antonio Barrera on his heels. Uh, he had his mandatory in Prince not in, I'm sorry in Juan Manuel Marquez, and Eric Morales was there lingering too. So Nas probably got up out the game sooner than quick, fast, and in a hurry because even if he came back, even though he had one fight and he looked very flat after he lost to Marco Antonio Barrera, he'd have Mexican problems. He'd still have to face Marquez or Morales and possibly Barrera again. He said, you know what? I'm cool. I'm gone. I'm going to retire. But yo, B March Boxing, big ups to Mr. Doc Hop. Peace to everybody. Manny Rodriguez, big ups to all y'all on Rival Boxing Talk, man. Big ups to everybody in the chat, man. Who we talking? Todd French 600. Big up, big up, big up. Salute to everybody, man. I like talking boxing with y'all, man. My comment section and my chat section is not no dummies when it comes to boxing. It's people who know boxing. We talk and educate each other. Big ups to Finks Art of Boxing, too. Hop, of course. Mike 101. You know, there's a lot of channels out there whose comment sections are disgusting. You know, like the people who have the channels let people say anything in their comment section, man. My comment section and my chat sections be respectful, man. I feel I'm a respectful person in real life, and I reciprocate the same energy, and I salute all y'all. I like talking boxing with y'all because you guys know your boxing very well too. You know what I mean? No question, indeed. Big ups to everybody. I'll talk to you guys on the next one. I'm gone. And before I let off, I had Hop says, B Marsh, always quality chat. Love it. Thank you, man. I love y'all coming through and talking that boxing with me. And before I sign off, I had Badou Jack winning this fight 115, 111, 8 rounds to 4. I consider tonight's fight a robbery. I'm gone. Go check the punch stats if you don't believe me. Peace.